Today's AskReddit post. Parents of Reddit, when did you realize that it wasn't teenage hormones? Your kid is a legitimate butthole? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. My nephew. But in some respects it's not his fault. He's the bright shining golden boy and grandson who can do no wrong. Grandparents and his parents enable the shit out of the little dipshit. And while my kids, girls, are loved too, they are held to different standards, which annoys the hell out of me. He wasn't born evil or anything, and he's not a psychopath. He's just a spoiled little over-entitled shit who will grow up an arsehole because nobody has ever let him face a consequence. This sounds like my nephew. He's 28 and entitled as all get out. He actually had the nerve to ask to borrow $600 when he loaned $600 he didn't have to his mutual friend. At least he's generous to his friends. Right, lol. But his friends only. He owes his grandma over $1,500 and it's been 3 or 4 years. Grandma still owes me for shoveling her sidewalk that one time in 2016. Shit took me the better part of a half hour. It's my stepson. My wife wasn't connecting the dots. I finally pointed out that he's 30, which is how old I was when we got married. He's got no skills and no education and no career prospects, but he does have a bunch of felonies. That got the wheels spinning, but when she was taking our daughter for a walk with some little kids that they were babysitting, they found him passed out in a car in the side of the road. Obviously coming down from whatever he was on. She finally got it. So she kicked him out and he threw a big tantrum and smashed stuff and cussed her out on his way out the door. I let her know that if she ever tries to move him into the house again, I'm grabbing our daughter and moving out, and that it won't be a discussion. Good for you. It's gotta be tough to make an ultimatum like that. But at some point she may be targeted for manipulation with every mental faculty he has. What else is he gonna do? At some point he will go all in. And she may be unable to resist. So you keeping your foot down on the issue, even if it hurts in the short term, may help her rationalize and come around for her own benefit. Not a parent, but I raised my younger brother. My parents swore he would become a good kid as he got older. But, of course, I knew otherwise. He used to cuss me for fun, leaving scars that I still have as an adult, shatter dishes and blame it on me, etc. And now as a 17-year-old, he started his extremely poor habits at 15. He has been suspended and then eventually expelled from school, gotten busted for alcohol, drug, tobacco use, dropped out of classes and failed others, stolen vehicles and driven illegally, snuck out of the house, been fired from the only 2 jobs he's ever had, etc. And he's just honest to God a genuine asshole. He has tried to physically harm both myself and my parents, as recently as this year, while tripping on acid. My dad is now convinced that he will be imprisoned by the time he's 20. I hope he turns himself around. But he's one of the few people in this world that I personally know who just completely lacks empathy. He does not give a single care about himself or anyone else and drains the life out of everyone around him. He needs a psychiatrist. He sounds like he has impulse control and anger issues, mental illness that came on with puberty. It's not too late to get him help. My son was like this and it turned out he had severe anxiety, anger issues. 5 years of medication and therapy later he's able to control most of that. Without it he'd have been in jail. Excuse me while I snort a line of birth control. Seriously, having children is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you'll get. It is a case of nature and nurture. Some people are good in spite of bad parenting. Some people are rotten in spite of good parenting. I love my kid dearly, but she somehow ended up getting all the worst negative traits from both me and my husband. It's been a challenge to say the least. I got the exact traits from my mom that piss her off the most, asking why constantly and immense difficulty completing tasks, with a mouth to match. That's partly from my dad too though. She's a son. But if she's in a bad mood I am 100% going to make it worse without even trying, lol. Mood. I'm not a parent, but my sister is 26 and my mom still hasn't figured it out. Not sure when my parents figured it out, but me as the older brother found out when little 14-year-old shit was causing trouble as he did. got into a screaming fight with mum and dad and then broke down crying saying it was because he's never been sure what to do since our grandmother passed. And during the ensuing hug from mum, he smirks and winks at Emmy over her shoulder. I've never trusted the manipulative little shit since, and that distrust has served me well. Darn, that's like from a movie. I'd be flabbergasted. Yes, that sounds like something Macaulay Culkin would do in The Good Son. It's downright creepy. My oldest daughter has a learning disability. My middle daughter is in pre-AP classes. The middle one is constantly belittling her sister for not knowing certain things. She walks around with this "I'm better than you" attitude. We didn't raise her that way. My wife will tell her bluntly to stop being a bitch to her sister. Both of my older brothers called me basement boy because I am dyslexic, and the reading class I went to was in the basement of the school. I ended up being valedictorian of my 450 plus high school class and getting an engineering degree pretty easily. I am definitely the most successful out of the three of us, but I am still a bit bitter about it. I literally never got made fun of once at school for my learning disability, just at home. My mom still doesn't understand why I don't get along with my brothers. My siblings made fun of me for being stupid. Anyway, now I'm on a roll student and making the most money in my family. I'd say it's just luck though. I knew my stepson was lying all the time within a couple of months of his mother and I getting married. My ex-best friend from HS was a lot like him on the lying part. Couple of years later, he kicks in our back door after going missing for a week. He's 15 at this point and steals electronics. Cops called. He's apprehended 30 minutes later, headed for the pawn shop. My wife still isn't accepting reality at this point. He spends 6 weeks locked up in a boot camp style facility, comes back, is like a different person for less than a week. His birthday comes around. He goes off the rails. Locked up for 6 months. He's been in and out of the county jail for the last 7 years. He's a sociopath. He can emulate feelings, but has no real connection to people. He wants what he wants, and if he has to take from someone else, so be it. If his mother won't do what he wants, he gets emotionally abusive. Until last summer when he put her in the hospital, I officially disowned him, and she agreed. For about 3 months, she just won't defend herself. I have to be a major asshole about it to try to protect her. She still went over $5,000 in debt for him and the third baby by the third baby mama. Our relationship rides on a thin razor's edge when it comes to him. Get professional guidance. If I recall correctly, sociopaths respond to transactional rewards, like, stay out of jail for X months and we'll give you X. Maybe, move away or pay him to move away and give him a stipend to not cause trouble for you. All this requires $ you might but have. Unfortunately, paying them to stay away would end very poorly. Yes and no. Provable good behavior with inabusable rewards is a totally realistic route for managing individuals like this. You don't have to wait till they are teenagers. My 3-year-old is an ass. SHHHH mum, you're bad at singing. Shut up dad. I'm the boss. I don't have to listen to you. Throws toys at you. Kicks. Bites. Runs away. He also lies his ass off. Today he said I threw him on the ground. I sat him in timeout. And apparently his dad pushed over the ottoman and told him he wasn't allowed to help. His dad was asking him to help put storybooks away, but Bubs didn't want to. I was ready to rain fire on my husband till Mill said Bubs never went all the way upstairs. He just sat near the top for a second and came back. Can't even take him to a store. Last time I went grocery shopping, he took a chocolate bar from a shelf and bit into it right through the wrapper. I had to buy it. Not to mention the most embarrassing situation the time prior. All kids are buttholes, not just teenagers. Edit. All discipline timeout. Toys removed. TV gone. Act is met with laughter. To him it's hilarious so far. Only thing that gets him to behave slightly better is pretend calling Santa. Good thing he works year round making sure naughty or nice. Edit 2. I'm not sure if people are joking or serious, but I will never ever spank a kid. I would pay for the chocolate and tell the shop assistants to put it aside. No way in hell I'm gonna let my children off with that trick. As a grocery store worker, this happens so often, especially Kinder Eggs BC. The wrapper is so fragile. thin and easy to take off. Children that barely can even walk even grab them and start chomping. Another time I worked at a pharmacy, a lady came in with 3 or 4 children and they kept destroying these eggs that by the time she paid for the broken one, another kid just took it and bit into it. I'm not a parent so I will never give advice, but there's no way I would let them keep those. Just throw it out, it's ruined and they didn't deserve them. I just realized why all the candy is placed so low on the shelves at the checkouts. We have a nice word for it in German. Cause of course we do. Quengelware. Whining goods. Basically, because your kid is going to whine to have it. When I was 14, my mum threatened me with a therapist because she didn't understand why I would rather hide in my bedroom and read as opposed to socializing with siblings. She didn't get they were assholes until much later in life. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. It was early 90s. Parenting wasn't the same as it is today, and we didn't have as many things to keep us busy as kids. My ducking father and stepmother still do not understand why I don't socialize with my brother, a dipshit who has tormented me for years with shit my dad blows off as asking you to play with him. Drives me nuts. He's been busted for assisted vandalism by the law and drugs by my parents. He's 15. Haha. My mom's the same way. Why can't you and your sister just get along? IDK. Maybe the fact that she torments me and gets me in trouble for shit I didn't do constantly. Yes, exactly. Parents are really blind sometimes. My mom seems to only notice anything when I'm reacting negatively to my sister's shitty behavior towards me. I'm not even allowed to call out her double standard, or be angry, or really show any negative emotion ever. My son's teacher was passing by, so I asked him to hide as he bunked the school that day, but he instead told me to hide as he has told his teacher that he is on a leave because I passed away. This is hilarious. Face rolling on the floor laughing. This all is just superb birth control. Can't agree more. Hubs and I have 2 sons, 25 and 18. We love them and would do almost anything to help them get ahead in life. The 25-year-old is our family's asshole. We keep hoping that adversity will train him to be nicer, but so far, it hasn't. He doesn't do grandiose asshole things. It's the small stuff. Luckily, he has done this stuff to other people so he can't go unnoticed. We make a choice to see him a couple of hours a month to see if he's grown even a little. He makes snide hurtful remarks, is ungrateful for everything, and disrespectful. That's really unfortunate for him. I hope he learns how to be kind sooner or later, for his sake. When he and his mother beat me up. Sorry, what? Can we have a story and context? PLZZZ. Wife was pissed that I asked stepson to help break down cardboard when I hadn't folded any laundry, and she punched me and bloodied my nose, and he punched me in the head and neck when I held her arms, so she quit punching me. I spent the next night in county. Have you worked it out and got them to at least apologize, or are they now ex-wife and ex-stepson? In process. Just happened Tuesday night. She's moving out now and I'm not allowed back into my home that I owned before I knew her. Divorce will happen. My brother is a genuine pain in the ass, but he's still 18 and my parents believe it's only teenage hormones. Wonder what will happen when he turns 30 and is still an asshole. Hilarious. Meet a 5-year-old. Mine's an absolute monster and he knows it. Obligatory not a parent. My sister has some narcissistic tendencies. Every situation always has to be about her, and if it isn't, she will either act out or sulk about it. She can be very manipulative. So even though you know on some level that she is in the wrong, you'll find yourself apologizing to her. It took my mom a long time to realize that this wasn't just a teenage phase, and it was heartbreaking to watch. My sister is in her late 30s. And it has only been in the last 2-3 years that my mom has come to accept the fact that this is just how she is. At least your mom accepted it. My sister blamed me for her trying to commit suicide, was abusive for almost a decade, and I'm somehow the arsehole child because I was mentally and emotionally fried from daily emotional and psychological abuse and gaslighting. Our parents are now helping her adopt a kid. She's single, living at home, and a full-time nurse. I feel bad for that kid. I'm the kid of a mom that is still a hormonal teenager in her heart. Petty threats. Used to disappear for days on ends. That kind of stuff. She will tell my little siblings I don't love them if we don't come over for a weekend. She was jealous over my sister. Jealous cause her own daughter looked better than her. Also, she named my sister after a drug dealer she had at the time, and me after the hospital she would check into the psych ward after she did 3 days of hard drugs, so no one could hold her accountable. I'm not even an adult yet and I have more sense than her. Shit, I wish you're all the luck. Not me, but my grandfather recently learned the true colors of his narcissistic son, my uncle, after 50 years. He only started realizing after my grandmother passed away this year, and my uncle has been a total piece of shit to my grandfather. It's sad that it took so long and it is now driving a rift between my uncle and my grandfather. I'll never understand how much people can be detached from their own children, enough not to realize they're assholes. Like, did they just get lucky with the other children? Was minimum parenting requirements enough to raise the rest while the other child required advanced parenting, which they did have? Did they take on too much responsibility elsewhere and not notice the signs? Were they in denial because they didn't know how to deal with it? How was the kid manipulative enough that other more trusted sources that knew him didn't tip off the parents multiple times? If uncle is 50, grandpa was probably pretty hands off when it came to his early development, only showing up to dole out punishments at the behest of grandma. Ah yay, the old fashioned method of parenting. Just wait till your father gets home. My parents didn't figure it out until my sister was 28. The moment my son was born, immediate flashbacks to me as a teen and acknowledging the karma headed my way. I have 3 kids, all in their early 20s now. I've actually told my oldest I love you, but I don't really like you very much. It broke my heart, but it was the only way that I could get through to him that he was a complete asshole. Mind you, he also has some mental health issues, but he's also manipulative, selfish, and occasionally violent. Last week he had a breakdown and punched my car, leaving a nice dent. All issues we've dealt with since he was 4. The other 2 kids often find themselves having to compete for attention, which is sad. Did you ever get him evaluated for mental illness or neurodiversity? Because let me tell you something, spending your entire life trying to do what other people want you to do but you can't because your brain literally doesn't work right, and then being told by the person you've been spending your entire life trying to please that they don't like you kinda sucks. When he's only 3, so it definitely is not teenage hormones, he's just a little shithead. He's a three-nager. Such crackers. Around age 2 when they started talking. This little son of a bitch. Just joking. It is shocking how early you can see a baby's personality develop. Not a parent, but let me tell you, my older brother is a butt and my parents refuse to acknowledge it. He's messy, gross, irresponsible, and still throws temper tantrums. On top of it, he has anger issues, but my mom refused to acknowledge that as well because he is a golden child. Like, once he went on a bike ride and I locked the door because he was gone for about 40 minutes and he got super mad and tried to lock me out. My older brother locked me out as a kid when we were home alone. When my mom got home, she waited till it got dark outside and then locked him out. Once they turned 16. Asshole child here. I have ADHD and I was extremely irritable during my young teens. Got on new medication, so that helps a lot. ADHD and mental illness. You're constantly being attacked from inside and have to fight just to sleep or to maintain any type of calm or basically exist as a normal person. It takes 100% of your energy. Then mommy and daddy like to tell you you just aren't trying hard enough. About 6 months ago. He's 4. I totally feel you. My youngest just turned 4 and he's been and throws fits when he doesn't get his way, and completely ignores us on purpose. Oh, so like a 4-year-old? Perhaps someone should ask the question parents of young children when did realize it wasn't just the terrible twos. Adding this to stress medical issues, my son was a legitimate butthole for most of his teenage years. He terrorized his younger brother, had to argue about everything. He saw his pediatrician regularly and a psychiatrist. In his late teens, he suffered with depression and anxiety. I asked his new doctor, adult primary care physician, to run thyroid tests. I had depression and anxiety at his age and wasn't tested until I was 24. I found out that I have hypothyroidism. We found out that although his thyroid was okay, he had very strange level of testosterone. Very low. Once he started replacement therapy, his attitude, depression, and anxiety all improved. His doctor told me that she wouldn't have even thought about testing him because of his age, but she was glad that I had pushed for it. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.